Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy SoSo, in case you ain't know so, and welcome back to another dope episode of Sports with SoSo. Coming to you live, y'all. This week, the Dolphins get their first victory out in LA. The Marlins are still swimming towards the wild card spot. Inter Miami wins without Messi in the MLS, and the Hurricanes get a big upset at home. It's time to take a ride, y'all. Let's go! We back. Shout out to the whole squad in the building.
Yeah, we got a full house today.
Yes, sir.
Full barn.
First and foremost, my dog Rocky's in the building.
Yeah, that's the first animal we got to.
No, for sure.
If you hear any sneezing later, we know who to attribute.
Absolutely.
Thank for that.
Absolutely. And we also have the big homie Martin in the building from Sports with SoSo OnlyFans. Also, tune out Martin. What up, my boy?
Oh, hold on. Let's see if Martin's live on the mic.
I'm good.
He's good. We also got Jose, fresh off his job at BKFC. What up, my dog?
What's up, fellas?
Oh, they're a little preoccupied over there on the sidelines.
They're working.
Came through.
They're working.
Yeah, Martin was on OnlyFans yesterday with us.
Yes, sir.
So we got to lead off with that. Make sure to go check out the newest episode of OnlyFans in case you missed the Dolphins game or in case you watched it and just want some dope analysis and insight. Go check it out.
That's what you got to do. And more importantly, you got to make sure you're hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already.
Big facts.
Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Get ready to get all the fucking number one Dolphins post-game recap that you can ever expect to hear in your life.
All right, let's reel it back.
Nah, because we killed it last night. And yesterday was our first official show, right? Brand new format. Shout out to Rax, for joining us on the program.
Yes,
It's just different now, and yesterday went through seamlessly, man, and it was just dope. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel and checking out OnlyFans every week. Hit those notifications. Let's talk about this Dolphins win, man. 36-34 out in LA.
Can't talk about it enough, dog.
We expected them to win, right? And the other thing that we expected was the offense to look good, and that's exactly what we saw.
Check.
Right? We checked both important boxes. What we didn't expect is for the defense to necessarily look like it did. And that's kind of where, I want to start. The defense didn't necessarily show up until it really needed to in the fourth quarter. There were a lot of times where throughout the game on third downs, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, we were allowing the Chargers to complete those passes for maybe 12, 13 yards and even get some runs off. We talked about it earlier while we were discussing the pregame show. They ran all over us. They really did. They had over 200 yards as a team. They almost had 2 of their rushes go for over 100 yards. And that's not something that we were expecting to see from Vic Fangio's defense. But in crunch time, they showed up. We had multiple sacks to end the game. Ended up the day with 3 total sacks. I don't know. I think that's the one thing that I look at and be like, fuck, I wish the defense played better, but everything else was a positive yesterday from the Dolphins.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to be the reverse of a silver lining, find something negative in a great outcome, then you can nitpick and say, obviously our defense, we talked about it on the show yesterday on OnlyFans. Once again, go follow, subscribe. But yeah, the red zone, they were 5 for 5 in the red zone. They scored 4 touchdowns, had a field goal. Martin did have a great take on OnlyFans yesterday, though, about the defense, and it wasn't until he said it that I didn't say it. So I don't know if you want to share it, if you're on the same thought process as far as Vic Fangio's defense and what we saw. Yeah, you're good. You're live.
No, so for me, honestly, yesterday was the first game of the season, so I don't think a defensive coordinator like that's going to bring out everything just your first week. Especially if everything else is working, you see your offense moving, you don't want to bring out the stops. So it's pretty vanilla for the most part, I feel like, the defense, until we needed them to step up and bring the blitz and show some looks that maybe they hadn't seen all game. And it was in crucial moments like the last 2 drives with Kohu. I'm not sure if it was the last drive or the second last drive.
Second to last, where he got that sack.
And then the actual sack to end the game. Those are 2 plays that you're like, wow, okay. You see that all game.
Here's my problem with that, right? Not that we can't do that, because obviously we showed that we have an ability to do so, right? My issue with that is if you wait too long to pull those out, it could burn you. And Herbert's a good enough quarterback. They have enough offensive weapons on that Chargers offense that they might have been able to drive down the field, not necessarily score a touchdown because they didn't need to, but at least get close enough to kick a field goal, a 55-yarder or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Like something like that would have definitely been possible had it not been for us being able to get to the quarterback when we did.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'm muting all over the place, but yeah, no, but I like the idea though that you don't give up all your cards right away. First game of the season, you know what I mean. You don't. There's nothing really for them to go off of, so it's like you don't want to give them everything in the first half. You know, I guess that's kind of what Martin was saying.
And I guess to touch the last point is that they were running so well that you didn't know when they were passing, so you would have brought a blitz on a wrong play, and they would have just the small plays would have been huge runs.
No, and they hit 2 plays like that on us, right? Where we went all out blitz to stop the run, and boom, they just did a little dump pass. The guy was wide open. And on third downs, right? So yeah, I guess if you want to point to something, right, that we can nitpick, like Joel said, we're gonna look at the defense and be like, all right, maybe they weren't shut down yesterday on Sunday. You know, they weren't in a shutdown defense, and that's okay because when in the reality of it, the Chargers are a high-powered offense, and they're going to be able to put up 30-plus points on pretty much every single team they face this year. Let's just be realistic.
So should we.
Right, and that's my second point. The main thing that I wanted to see from this Dolphins offense was fluidity. I wanted these guys to be able to march down the field whenever they wanted to, put up a touchdown, get the extra point, get an easy field goal, and just score whenever we need to. We saw that. Even though we had a little bit of trouble getting out the gate, the 2 fumbles, just a lot of miscommunication, those first 2 drives were just awky, you know what I mean? They were just weird. And we got settled into the offense, into the rhythm of the game, and then boom, the offense took off. More importantly, between Tua and Hill, because we all know that that's why he was brought here. He was brought here to take advantage of Tua's accuracy. He's the most accurate NFL quarterback that there is right now. He found Tyreek Hill in the most perfect spots yesterday that I'm sure Tyreek Hill himself was so surprised that he didn't feel anybody on him the moment he catched the ball, because there were, I made the joke, his yards after catch yesterday were average around 8-9 yards. And that's just the low ceiling, because there were at least 3 catches he had where he got off for 15-20 yards downfield. Just crazy to see those guys on the same page so early on in the season. And that's kind of what the hope was. And low key, Jose mentioned it earlier, but we spread the ball out. Tyreek Hill had 11 catches, out of the 28 catches total. That means that 17 of those other catches were spread out between 6 other receivers. That's nasty, because you can kind of say that he's keying in on Tyreek Hill, right? With the 11 catches, probably 13 targets. But he's also finding guys to make the smart play and get the first down. We saw River Craycraft make some big first down catches. Braxton Berrios made some big first down catches. Smythe made some big first down catches as well. So it wasn't like Tua was just depending on Hill the entire game, which we saw a couple of times last year, especially in important games. But we saw him, have that patience, show that maturity as a quarterback, not necessarily go for the home run play or the first option, and settle for the second, third option. Let those guys, earn their paycheck and do what they do best. That offensive, or let me not say offensive, but that receiving core for this offense is pretty, devastating for other teams to match up against, man. It's going to be tough.
And we still have a guy named Cedric Wilson on the team. And we still have a guy that's in the practice squad named, I don't really know his name anymore, Robbie Chosen Anderson. Something along those lines.
That's what they call him.
I'm pretty sure I saw him on the sideline.
He's on the practice squad.
It's kind of odd for a practice squad player to be traveling with the team, but it kind of makes sense. He's a veteran and stuff like that. They're probably keeping him in there. Just somebody probably going to go down. They're probably going to need to give somebody some time off, or they'll elevate him. So, I don't know. I know some people don't really care for him, but that's just the depth that we have right now with Wes Welker leading the charge.
Nah,
I don't care about that guy.
I know a lot of people don't care, but I'm just saying, like, we have Tyreek and Waddle, 1 and 2 punch. That's forget about it. And then you go to Berrios, and then you go to Craycraft and Cedric Wilson, and then we also have Izukama.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And he got a carry, 2 carries yesterday, actually, on a runaround, you know, and
he was a part of the big pass interference right before the half that took us up a field goal.
So there are enough offensive weapons for this offense to be, like I said, fluid, being able to score at will, score whenever they need to, and not necessarily just settle for long field goals. Even when they do just get field goals, it's a 35-yarder. It's a 32-yarder, something like that, where we're close and we just didn't get a chance to get into the end zone.
Well, talking about kicking through the uprights, there was one miss on our part yesterday on OnlyFans, and that's how we didn't talk about the missed extra point that would have, if they gone down the field and got the field goal at the end that we ultimately prevented, but had they gotten down to field goal range and got that, they would have won the game on just a field goal because of a missed extra point. And that wasn't like Jason Sanders, or at least what we had seen from him all day.
Super strange from him, obviously, but he did bang a 45-yarder, to kind of help us get into the lead and keep that and keep pace with the Chargers. A little bit concerning, but not too much. It would have been the first thing we talked about, right? If they lose and this guy ends up, not having that extra point, obviously.
So is it not that concerning then?
It's not that concerning. It's not that concerning because at the end of the day, if his job is to make crucial kicks and clutch field goals, he's been doing that for us.
Did anybody see what happened, though? Was it a bad snap, bad hold?
It looked like it was a bad snap because it kind of got stuck in the turf. So it wasn't necessarily in the proper direction.
Martin disagrees. I think he says it's questionable.
I just think that it went wide right. Like, it wasn't even that bad, but it was just one of those kicks that you're like, you expect your guy to kick extra point, no problem. Yeah. But as you've seen in the NFL, field goals aren't easy, extra points aren't easy.
That's just not easy, dog.
Not that Andy, they push it back.
What did Andy tell us? It's the hardest job in football, kicking a fucking field goal. Why? Because you only get one shot at it.
I'll disagree, but yeah.
No, he has a valid point.
I understand exactly where he's coming from. I totally understand.
Andy has a valid point. I'm sure Jason Sanders would agree.
I think the quarterback is the hardest role.
We definitely have to move on to the next topic, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention Tyreek Hill's career day, right? Or one of his career days. Guy ended up with 11 catches, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, including a 47-yard bomb, a beautiful end zone over the shoulder grab. Just countless plays this guy is able to make. And you love the passion that he plays with, right? You saw him on the sideline, letting the Chargers know, I'm here. You know what I mean? Like, that dude is really about, standing on what he believes in it and doing everything he can to back all that shit up.
Did you see the exchange between him and Jalen Ramsey?
No.
So Jalen Ramsey obviously is now on our team, but before they were teammates, they had a little bit of beef.
Yeah.
And Ramsey tweeted out, he was like, he's that guy, like he's him or something like that. And Tyreek responded to him. He was like, I thought I was just a return specialist. And then he responded like, I used to think that, but I was wrong. He's like, you're 101 or hashtag 101 or something like that. And then they showed the clip from like 4 years ago when he was on the Jags. He wasn't even on the Rams. And 4 or 5 years ago, he was on the Jags. Tyreek was on the Chiefs, and he was giving an interview where he was like, well, I'm not really too concerned about the matchup. He made the Pro Bowl, his rookie year as a return specialist, and he also did this as a return specialist. He's like, I made all pro. I was, Pro Bowl at cornerback. So we're not really going to talk about that. So like, that was the whole insight. I was like, yo, love that. Even though they're teammates now, they got to get a little chippy.
Nah, man, you want that. Iron sharpens iron, right? That's the saying. Yeah. So, and it's more of a realization of Tyreek Hill's impact on a team, not only on what he brings to the field on Sunday, but Monday through Saturday, how he preps himself, how he takes care of himself, how he practices hard, how he has fun at practice, right? How he even just carries that positive energy, defends any single teammate, no matter what, to the death. You know what I mean? Like when Ryan Clark got smart at the mouth, you know what I mean? Talking shit about Tua stood up for himself, but Tyreek let the world know, like, hey, don't come down here to do no fucking show because you're going to have to see me for talking about my dog. And that's exactly how it goes with Tyreek Hill. And you got to love that energy that he brings, man. And what else can we say about Tua that we didn't say on OnlyFans? That guy really balled out. Allowed Tyreek Hill to have the 3rd most receiving yards in an opening day game, I believe. Just nasty, bro. Nasty.
And shout out to the O-line, man. I mean,
0 sacks, dog.
That's the biggest stat line right there, bro. Keep Tua healthy. If we can run the ball more, Shout out Martin over here on the sidelines who's shaking his head vigorously. Yes, run the ball more.
Run it. Run it.
If we do that and protect the way we did yesterday, bro, Tua should be healthy the whole season. If Tua's healthy, Tyreek's healthy, we should be looking pretty good.
And we should see these playoff type wins, right? This was a playoff type game, right? Because we're playing another team that has made the playoffs before, and we ended up coming away victorious. We're going to see ourselves in those situations a lot more this year. We're playing Buffalo, the Giants, Philadelphia, Kansas City, Dallas, Baltimore. All 6 of those teams have made the playoffs last year, possibly multiple years. You're going to have to go out there and beat some good teams, tough places, tough situations. Dolphins showed on Sunday that they can handle those.
Yep, just like this Sunday coming up.
Yeah, Sunday Night Football.
Road game in Gillette Stadium, Foxborough.
Prime
against
time.
The Patriots, division opponent. They just lost to the Eagles,
But they played well against the Eagles, right?
They bounced back.
They almost had that
comeback. Almost had the win.
And whenever you're going up against Bill Belichick, you know that his team is going to be ready to play football, and they're going to be ready for you. So all the things that you think you're going to get away with, you're not getting away with. You're going to have to play your best ball in order to beat these guys. But I feel real confident, as I'm sure most Dolphins fans are going into this game, because even though we were underdogs on the road, being an underdog in this game is a highly unlikely scenario for us. So we're expected to handle business. We're going to I have to go out there to Foxborough, take care of business. We're not playing in the snow. We're not playing in a terrible weather or anything like that. So
there might be a hurricane that hits New England, but we'll see.
There's no excuses.
We're used to that. We're used to hurricanes.
Yeah,
that's the point.
There's no excuses. No excuses if it's raining. But I'm just saying we shouldn't have any excuses, because we know that the talent level between both teams is in the favor of the Dolphins. Obviously, if we play like we know we can play, we're going to destroy those guys. We're not going to be fucking around. And I think we saw that yesterday. We had one bad interception, right, which I'm sure Tua could take back. Other than that, and the fumble, those were 2 turnovers that you can clean up. If we play mistake-free football against the Patriots, there's no way we're not winning by at least 10 points.
Dolphins by 1 million.
This guy. You would think that he's a Dolphins fan, right? Dressed head to toe.
Who would have thunk?
Yeah, who would have thunk? Let's see. Prime time against the Patriots Sunday, 8:20 p.m.
Sunday Night Football, baby. Lock it in.
Let's see. Another team that we got to get locked in. You know what I mean? And if you haven't...
They look like they're locked right now.
No, they're definitely locked in. We're talking about the Marlins being locked in. And if you're not locked into watching the Marlins, you're definitely missing out on good baseball. Because a lot of people complain about baseball being boring, not exciting. The Marlins are winning exciting games. I think they're now 30 and 8, 30 and 10, 30 and 9 in one run or less games. Like, talk about clutch. This team has been riding a very good winning streak. We've won our 3rd straight series. We beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3, and then we went to Philadelphia and took care of business there as well, winning 2 out of 3 games.
Which had huge implications, because we're in the race for October right now, right in the thick of it, and the Phillies are ahead of us. So, we took a couple games on them, which is multiple game swing, as far as the wild card implications are.
Kind of like in dodgeball, when you catch the ball and you get a 2-for-1.
Boom.
Boom.
That's what we did, bro. So how many games did we take on the Phillies finally?
We won 2 out of 3 against the Philadelphia Phillies. And again, not only did we just put ourselves in a better position against them as far as a tiebreaker is concerned, but we're only a half a game back. This is Monday. We're recording before we play the Brewers in Milwaukee, but we're only a half a game back, Arizona and Chicago.
Bark twice. Bark twice.
No.
Bark twice if you're calling from Milwaukee.
No. But if you look at where this Marlins team is at now, Joel, and where we were a month and a half ago, you and I did not see this coming.
Nah.
The hardcore fan has been sticking to it, but to see this Marlins team a half game behind the wild card at this point in the season, over 140 something games, it's crazy. It's crazy to see that stock rising on this Marlins team, young Marlins team,
at the right time too, because you talk about a roller coaster or a stock portfolio, and it was high in the beginning of the season, and then after, right up until the All-Star break, leading up to the All-Star break, we kind of started to skid. It continued after the All-Star break. We made a couple moves and stuff. I know we've talked about this already a bunch of times, but then we were ramping back up, and honestly, this series against the Phillies, like I'm back in. I'm back. Like I wasn't not back in on the Marlins, but like I was getting weary. I was like, man, we have a tough tough.
You skipped a couple of games. It's okay to say.
We got a tough division as it is, bro. Like the Braves dominate us. You know what I mean? They're the best team in baseball. Like they're 94 and 49. Okay. I mean, they're disgusting. And then the wild card spots. Besides that, like it's always a battle for us. So when we were taking that skid, we're not getting the pitching that we really see. Sandy isn't really the Cy Young winner that we saw a year ago. And then now we start to win series again, and we're getting hits and we're getting saves. Like now it's looking like we can make a run for the postseason.
But it's more of what's causing that, right? Because I said it earlier this season, we weren't going to be an offensive juggernaut type team. Have we gotten offensive production? Yeah, we've got more than what we anticipated, right? What we weren't expecting is the decline in the starting pitching in the beginning. We did not expect that. We know that our pitching is strong enough. And lately, the starting pitcher has gotten back to that level. But what's making the difference right now for this Marlins team is the bullpen, which is crazy because last year that was the detriment of the team. This year, it's probably the strongest force of the team because right now the rotation these guys have between Nardi, Robinson, and Scott, it's like almost like a pick your poison of who you want to deal with. Because Nardi is a nasty left-hander. Andrew Nardi comes in. He can make quality pitches. He can get quality outs and put the ball in play. Not necessarily be an overpowering guy. Then you can bring in a guy who has overpowering stuff in Robertson, who's the guy we traded for from the Mets. He has 100 miles per hour fastball. He can change directions on his slider. He's a guy that, if you throw him in the 6th, 7th, 8th inning, is going to pose a nightmare matchup for whoever's facing him because they're not used to seeing his type of movement and velocity. And then you get Tanner Scott at the end, a guy who is very composed, a guy who's very sure of himself, throws a lot of pitches for strikes, throws a lot of pitches to put in play, and not necessarily ground balls where it's easy pop outs, short fly outs and stuff like that. So you have an array of closers, relievers, whatever in this bullpen that can pretty much face any type of hitter depending on the situation. Because now with the new baseball rules, one of those pitchers are going to have to face 3 guys at the bare minimum. You need to be able to have different skill sets, right, in your toolbox in order to address those concerns depending on the team you're facing, who's up in the lineup, who's batting, after that guy, who's in the hole. Those things come into play. Right now, Skip Schumacher is taking the most advantage that he has ever taken so far this season over this bullpen by trusting those 3 guys that I mentioned earlier. And it's really made a difference for this Marlins team. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games. Granted, half of those wins are a 4-game sweep of the Nationals, where you can count some of those games. But still, these guys are pretty much playing playoff baseball every single game because every team that they're playing is either in the hunt, trying to get into the hunt, or trying to knock a team out of the hunt. And the Marlins are keeping pace, putting pressure on those other teams to win.
No, sweeping the Nationals obviously is sweet. Yeah, it's like what's expected of us, especially this late. But, bro, to go into Philadelphia and win that series on the road.
Yeah. After beating the Dodgers at home.
Playoff implications, I mean, that's huge. Huge. So I'm hoping we repeat that with Milwaukee.
You kind of have to. And I think that, while Milwaukee isn't the best team right now or in the NL, they're still leading the division. They're 79-63, a team that is working itself into playoff form, a team that we would possibly face if we did make the wild card spot. You have to go out there and compete. How do you compete? You got to walk away with at least half the series. 4 games, you got to walk away with 2. Now, the difference between good teams and playoff teams is winning that 3rd and 4th game. The playoff teams, they win the 3rd and 4th game. And they'll go out there and win 3 out of 4, 4 out of 4 against another playoff type team. If the Marlins want to get to that level, they're going to have to showcase it against opponents like this. And this is a perfect test for this young Marlins squad. Yes, it has veterans that are doing great things. Brian De La Cruz has been killing it. We're going to talk about him right now. Jesus Sanchez is finally coming back into his own and really earning his check. I think that for all the veterans that we have here, it's really been the young guys that have been stepping up and been consistent for us all season. Those are the guys that we got to rely on. I think our bullpen is ready to compete. So if we can get those close games, 2-3, score 3 runs early, maybe score those 4 or 5 runs in the 5th and 6th inning, we'll be solid because the Marlins have shown abilities throughout this year to not only score at any point in the game, whether it's early, in the middle, or at the end, but they're always going to be competitive because they can put guys on base. Let's see if the Marlins can hold on to get to where they want to be, where we want them to be in the playoffs.
Well, you mentioned a guy a few moments ago. I know the young guys are holding it down, but
they are.
Brian De La Cruz, man.
Bruh.
We got to talk about the guy because he's on a tear. I mean, this season has been the Luis Arraez season, you know?
Yes.
He's flirting with 400, up and down, or mostly up, I should say, and playing very well. It's kind of teetered off a little bit. I haven't really heard his name. I don't know what his production has been like lately for Arraez. But
the story, 355, dog, like,
which is phenomenal,
amazing.
But, I mean, that is phenomenal still. So he's still doing just fine, but
just fine.
Now he's getting a little bit more support from De La Cruz. De La Cruz is playing lights out right now.
I mean, just in the month of September. Well, yeah, it's not that long, but today is September 11th. Shout out to everybody on September 11th.
22 years, dog.
Yeah, bro, crazy. I was in high school.
Wow.
We're not gonna talk about that.
Wow.
But yeah, in the month of September, he has 10 hits, 7 runs, 3 home runs, 9 RBIs versus 6 strikeouts, posting a 286 average, slugging 543. Just been a very solid contributor to this lineup. And if you think about it, when we talked about the stats, Joel, we don't necessarily need him to be the home run guy. We have Soler, right? Or Soler with 35 home runs has been smashing the ball, right?
Bell will give you some.
Bell's been great.
Jazz is going to give you some.
Jake
Berger's going to give you some.
Berger, all of those dudes. But with Brian De La Cruz, it's just been very consistent. Like I said, man, this guy has, 3 home runs in 11 days so far this month. Most guys don't see that for 2-3 months. And mind you, this guy's just hanging in there as the number 3 hitter on this team.
And he's getting hot at the right time.
Getting hot at the right time. He's 19 home runs on the season. He's going to finish over 20 for sure. We're going to have at least a chance to have 3 guys between Jazz, Jorge Soler, and Brian De La Cruz to all finish over 20 home runs. And we talked about earlier in the season, was like, if we have 1 guy, we'll be happy. And now we got 3 guys. And now we see the difference that makes. But I think it all depends on the type of defense that we play. Yeah, Brian De La Cruz has been killing it this season. 258 average doesn't look great. 131 strikeouts doesn't look great, but he's slugging very well, 425. Just being a complementary piece to this offensive lineup, you know what I mean? Because you don't necessarily... That's the thing about this offensive lineup, dog. You don't necessarily have to be the man. You just got to
do your job.
Do your job and make a play. Hit the ball, boom, get into play, and then boom, a double, and then boom, another single, and then next thing you know, the Marlins scored 3 runs on 6 hits. That's how we do it. You know what I mean? And then every now and then we'll pop off and get somebody with a home run. No. Soler catch 2 people on base and be like, fuck it, I'm going for it. And he'll hit the home run, dog.
With this team, it's kind of like the Panthers, a couple of years ago. They're never really out of it. You know, you can count on them to make a comeback. Against the Phillies, we were down early today. What's his face? Trey Turner for the Phillies had an early home run off of Yuri Perez, and then they ended up going up another run, and then boom, we ended up coming back in that game, and we ended up beating them. So it's like you just can never count the Marlins out at this point.
The comeback fish are still swimming, dog. Those guys are fighting hard against the current. One of the lowest payrolls in baseball. A team that's not necessarily built for immediate winning, but they're showing that they have something that's really real down here in this clubhouse. There's enough talent here to win. Obviously, we can add to it. Maybe we trade a couple of the prospects. We sign some guys to some money. We increase the budget, something, right? But I do feel that there is growth happening within this team. The fact that we're in a fucking wild card race is crazy to me.
Yeah, that was our expectation for the beginning of the year.
No, be in it. Be a team that's like, oh, the Marlins are 6 games behind the wild card, dog. What a hell of a season. These guys are in it right now, dog. Half a game, dog. They win 2 out of... If they win 3 games out of this Milwaukee series, dog, they're going to be in the wild card spot. Because they're going to be in the wild card spot, dog.
But don't get too ahead of yourselves, because right after that, we got to face the Braves.
I hear you. But maybe we're playing with enough confidence, that we can get by. You never know, dog. Why you hating on the Marlins, dog?
I'm not hating. I love my Marlins, bro. I'm just saying, like, I agree. I agree. We need to win.
We need to win 3 just because of that.
Just because we're playing the Braves right after that.
Fuck the Braves.
And they always got our number, bro. I mean, they
got everybody's number.
How do you beat that team right now, bro?
You got to play consistent baseball, which the Marlins have been doing in the last 3 series. Let's see if they can keep it up for 2 more series.
I think the goal against the Braves is going to be just don't get swept.
Nah, fuck that. Fuck that. Same. No, dude. No way, dog. It's the same level with the Brewers, dog. The Brewers were a team. The Brewers were a team that were in the World Series a couple of years ago, dog.
But yeah, but you got to understand the Braves are just a different level right now.
I
At least for regular
that.
season standards, I don't care. Like, every now and then they'll make a really big push in the playoffs. But for the most part, that is our dad. When
I get it.
Regular season baseball.
100%, and I
I'm
agree.
realistic. Hey, no one's a bigger fan than I am.
Listen, the numbers show that. Well, here's my thing. The Marlins have shown an ability to fight. In order to beat the Braves during the regular season, you're going to have to fight. And right now, the Marlins are literally fighting for their lives. They have a lot more to lose than the Braves do. The Braves can lose fucking 20 games right now, and it's not going to matter.
Oh, they're the first team locked in a playoff spot.
Yeah.
But I feel me? Those guys are on cruise control. We're scrappy.
No, they're not. Today, if you would have seen today's game versus the Phillies, they're not on cruise control.
But that is cruise control for them, dog.
They literally scored 4. They versus the Phillies. They had them at ball in the 9th. Harper hits a game-tying home run. They come in the 10th and hit a 2-run jack to take the lead and win the game. It was an 8-6 game. It's like, who scores 8 runs just for fun?
But look, right now they're losing to the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, that's doubleheader.
Yeah, but they're down 4-zip.
I want the Braves to win.
They're men.
They
can bleed.
We need the Phillies to lose. We don't care about the Braves losing.
I know.
The biggest thing is that we don't have Alcantara for I don't know how many games. It might be the rest of the season. And Soler's out for probably another 5 days, 6 days, who knows, because of the oblique. Our team is resilient. Yes, that's great. Resilient doesn't beat the Braves. I'm sorry.
No,
but
defense
there's a better chance than we had a month ago, I think. At least we feel more confident as a fan.
Absolutely.
I'm more confident today than I was
a month ago.
Not only that, every other season for the last 6 years.
Absolutely. So. Well, maybe not. Yeah, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
You mentioned Alcantara 15-day DL. I think they're just being cautious.
They said
they're being cautious.
Might be a little more worse than we think, and they're making it seem right now.
Oh boy.
That's probably because he's fucking.
They're not gonna.
He's not in shape,
They're
dog.
not gonna. Yeah, right. That guy. They're not gonna count him out. We're in a playoff race. The last thing that guy wants is to hear, "Hey, you're shut down."
You're done. Exactly.
He barely wants to get out of a game. Imagine being to tell, "Hey,
so
you're
saying there's a chance.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Cool. So there's a chance, right? And I really think that Yuri,
that guy,
is a guy that we can throw at teams to really mess them up. Because he's just so young, right? That he's like, I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do to get people out, and sometimes you can't plan for that type of shit. So he's an X factor in my book. He's an X factor.
How many home runs has he given up this year, though?
Who cares, dog? It's less than Sandy.
He'll give up 1 or 2 runs a game. You're okay with that. Especially
you're okay with that.
If you're talking about years past, yes, we couldn't have runs for anything. Like we couldn't save our lives and get runs. But this year we're scoring.
We're at least scoring.
I don't know if you guys, while you guys were watching putrid 1:00 games, which was horrible. Every game was boring. I was watching the Marlins game. We were no hit through 7.
Yep.
We won.
Yep.
We were no hit through 7. We were down by 3 or 4 runs.
Yeah. 4 runs.
And we
there
won.
You go.
Like,
won the game.
Think about that.
When
would you have heard, hey, the Marlins
never
said, let me turn off the channel? Nope, they won.
Never
out of it.
That's why you gotta love the Marlins.
Shout
That's
out
why I said,
Schumacher, man.
Yeah, bro. He's been doing a great job, and I feel like he hasn't been spoken about enough. Right?
He's the McDaniel of this year.
He's the McDaniel of this year, not getting that credit, and he's really not getting any love nationally. But when you live and play in South Florida, it's gonna happen, especially while you're doing good things, right? Like the national media is gonna definitely forget about you, man. But like you said, Joel, we got the Marlins facing the Brewers not only tonight. By the time we're recording now, and by the time you guys hear this tomorrow, we'll be into Game 2. Hopefully, the Marlins will be up 1-0 in this series against the Brewers before we face the Braves. Let's talk about Inter Miami and Lionel Messi missing a game in MLS. You know, he has that deal where he doesn't necessarily play unless it's a grass field. But that wasn't the case. He was actually out along with 6 other guys on international duty.
He was playing for Argentina?
Correct. And hit a beautiful free kick for Argentina to save them and win that game 1-0.
What are they playing in? They're
playing for like early qualifiers for the World Cup.
Okay.
They get those games out of the way. International break happens like every 4 months and stuff like that, where they have to go back and report to their national team.
So I heard he wasn't playing in this game, and my first thought was, does Inter Miami have a shot in this game?
Like everybody else, right? Yeah. Everybody obviously was thinking that, but something that this team is playing with right now is a lot of belief, right? Like it's like those dudes got a new spirit from being able to share a field with Messi, dog. Because like even when he wasn't there, right, in this game, they still had a fight about them. They still were finding ways to connect passes. They were still finding ways to, defend and just stay apart in that game. And they went down early in that game. They were down 2-0 and actually had to fight back. They were down 1-0, fought back, went down 2-1, fought back, and then ultimately ended up getting the game-winning goal in like the 88th minute from Leonardo Campana, who we're going to talk about in a little bit. But just the way that these guys are, competing, battling, and really having a self-belief is showing on the field. And these guys are a real threat now, because they're playing with the spirit of Messi, even when that guy's not there. This was a super important win. Now they're climbing up the Eastern Conference. Now they're still in the same spot, but now they're making up points, right? They're 6 points behind. They're 3 points behind Charlotte, 2 points behind New York FC, and 1 point away from New York Red Bulls. Those are three teams that the Inter Miami CF can hop over easily with 2 wins. So just those 2 more wins, and the CF, I want to call them something, but it's hard to call them Inter Miami CF. But whatever, Inter Miami is going to be in a position. Yeah.
IMCF? Messi, Team Messi. Let's just go with Team Messi.
No. We'll say Inter Miami.
Messi.
But Inter Miami is just going to be able to put themselves in that playoff hunt, and be in that wild card. Just keep on keeping winning, dog. Got to keep on winning. As long as they keep winning, they're going to be entertaining to watch.
Talk to me about Campana.
Let's talk about Campana, bro. This guy is picking up the scoring role right now with Messi being out. He had 2 goals in the game. He has 5 goals in his last 5 games, including 2 games with multiple goals. That's a dude, who felt the pressure of saying like, fuck, this guy's coming for my job. He's going to take my minutes. He's going to take my goals. I got to fight for what I can do here and show my manager, show the club that I'm not just here to play with Messi, that I'm here to ball out. And he's been doing that, bro.
He's averaging a goal a game in his last 5.
Yeah, in his last 5 games.
It's pretty impressive.
Super impressive. All the while keeping pace with Messi, all the while still putting, still being ahead of Messi on the all-time scoring list for Inter Miami. So, yeah, Campanas is definitely taking on that role of being a goal scorer for Inter Miami, which is huge because for as amazing as Messi is, he's more of a distributor. He's a guy who creates the things to happen. You need people there in order to finish stuff off. Campanas is one of those guys that can finish stuff off, and just having him with some type of confidence in that front 9 position has really worked for Miami, man. It really has. The quality that we're playing with is up there, and these guys are going to keep it going, and they need to, because we really want to see Inter Miami make the playoffs, even if it is the wild card spot, the 8th and 9th spot make the wild card. But yeah, I want to see those guys make the playoffs and have another team from South Florida make another playoff run. That should be dope.
So we know the Dolphins have one of the toughest schedules in football this season. We know the Marlins are in one of the toughest divisions in baseball and have a tough road ahead. Neither task is impossible to achieve to get to the playoffs, but they're both difficult and tough. Mm-hmm. What's the rest of the season looking like right now for Inter Miami? Well,
for Inter Miami, their next game is against Atlanta United, right, which is coming up on Saturday, and they're currently in the 6th spot. So that's a tough matchup for them. But besides that, the next couple of games that they have are favorable matchups. They're playing Toronto, which is at the bottom of the league, right? Actually worse than Miami. Then they're playing Orlando City, who's another team.
They're up there.
They're up there.
They're in the playoff spot.
They're third overall in the East.
So we got a 6 and we got a 3. So there's 2 playoff implicating games there.
Right? But like you said earlier, with getting games, right, with the Marlins, you win against a team that's ahead of you. It's almost like getting double the points, right? Because you're getting those extra 3 points and you're taking away 3 points from them, right? So Inter Miami finds themselves in a very similar position where they can afford themselves the luxury of getting ahead a lot quicker in less amount of games, because something that we pointed out on the last episode was that they still have a game in hand, right? While everybody else has played a certain amount of games, Inter Miami is still yet to play an extra game. That can be very helpful, and it could be clutch in making the playoffs this year. After the Toronto game and after the Orlando game, they're going to be playing against Houston in the U.S. Open Cup. That's another chance for a trophy or get closer to a trophy. And then after that, to end September, they're playing New York City FC, which is one of those bottom teams, a team they can feast on.
So I got one last question before we move on from these guys. Any other games that Messi is going to miss in this?
No, he should be back for the Saturday game because I believe everybody's going to be back from international break, which is usually the case. It's only about 1 week. Let me just double check that real quick.
Yeah, because I mean that's the biggest thing. Obviously we've seen we can win without him, but I feel a whole lot better if he's on the field.
He'll be playing. He'll be playing on Saturday against Atlanta. Everybody will be back from international break by then, so we'll have him for the next important 3 matches.
Betting the house
on Inter Miami. You can really make some money off that.
Hey.
We need the Hard Rock app back, baby. Let's go. You're killing me.
I got my
You're killing me.
Hit me up.
You're killing me. You're killing me, Hard Rock. Let's talk about the
Oh my God.
The Miami Hurricanes, baby, pulling off an upset against number 23 ranked Texas A&M. A team that they should have beat last year, right?
I'm gonna say I'm very proud of Mario Cristobal and this program.
On behalf of Mario, thank you.
You're very welcome. No, but honestly, I saw the entirety of the game, and that game was not handed to the Hurricanes.
No.
But man, there was times where they were their own worst enemy.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, just like the Dolphins, they were able to make the big plays when they counted most, and they walked away with an impressive win over a ranked opponent.
A dominating win, bro, because without those mistakes that we literally handed Texas A&M points and gave them momentum in the beginning of the game, that score could have been 48-20.
Should have been,
right? Because the defense was playing amazing. Right, we really shut down Texas A&M offense. They have a guy in Noah Thomas who's going to be a first-round pick for sure, probably a top 10 pick. This guy has NFL fucking wide receiver prototype written all over him, and this guy only had 4 catches for 38 yards and 1 touchdown, and that was a late touchdown, by the way. But yeah, we held that guy who's their number 1 threat completely in check. Now, they had another guy named Ever who was able to make some plays and get some, good first down plays for the Texas A&M Aggies, but nothing that the defense couldn't handle. We got to the quarterback. We were able to hit him, put a bunch of pressure on him, and the Canes had an answer for every single question and big play that Texas A&M did. Every time that Texas A&M did something, Hurricanes had a response, whether it was defensively or offensively. We saw that. And I was thinking to myself as I'm watching the game, right? Well, once the game was over, I was like, fuck, bro. Last year, the Hurricanes probably would have lost this game, And it would have been pissing me off because I would have been like, yo, these guys
won that game.
We should have won that game. We obviously are that much better. We obviously have much more talent than these guys. But, even with the slow start, we still put ourselves in a position to make plays and to win the football game. Tyler Van Dyke, bro.
Oh, my God. I mean, that was going to be my next point, talking about how proud I am, of these guys is the fact that last year was kind of the year of the regression for Tyler Van Dyke. He played so well the year before. There was a lot of expectations first year in the Mario Cristobal. What can they do? And it was a little underwhelming. Jake Garcia got a lot of playtime last year, even the guy behind him who I can't.
Williams.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird season for our quarterback room, but, to come into this game against, this A&M team, granted you're at home, but there's big expectations is for you to go out there and throw 5 touchdown passes.
Bro, career high.
I mean, that's a big bounce back, from last year.
Joel, not only a career high day for him, dog, with the weight of the world on your shoulders, because this is a primetime game, right? Got pushed back. So it's on ABC, nationally televised game against a ranked opponent who beat you last year. Now they're in your house. You have all the pressure, all the lights. It had rained before. Like, all these things are happening in this game to be like, fuck. It's taking all of the advantages that the Hurricanes have away. And Tyler Van Dyke found a way to be his most composed self that day, dog. It was so impressive to see, man.
Move the ball around.
That's the shit that when I see him, I'm like, bro, any NFL team would die to have a quarterback like him, dog.
He looked really good, man. He looked very prototypical. Like, he's standing strong, tall in the pocket, and the way he gets the ball around, the zip he has on it too. He can get it there quick. And just making good decisions, like going through his reads and just understanding who's open. Like that's huge, That's what you want to see from a third-year guy.
21 of 30 for 374 yards, 0 INTs.
That's the biggest stat right there, the 0 INTs. The 5 TDs is beautiful, but the 0 INTs, you made no mistakes out there.
Yeah. No, and putting guys, like we said earlier with Tua, it's crazy how these guys are so fucking similar, bro. Putting guys in a positions where when they catch the ball, they can do something with it. Xavier Restrepo, 6 catches, 126 yards, Alonga 48. Jacoby George, that guy deserves fucking so much praise because he had that muff punt. He was the one that had that muff punt, which allowed Texas A&M to score a touchdown.
But
what did he do?
Himself.
This guy rebounded, had 5 catches for 94 yards and 3 touchdowns, including an 84-yarder.
Which was that not
64-yarder.
The kick return? Was that not the punt return?
No, it wasn't the punt return.
Wasn't that George?
That was Brashard.
Oh, it was Brashard?
That was Brashard. Brashard Smith had that
was such a huge momentum
yards.
swing for the Hurricanes right there with that return. Very Devin Hester-esque.
Yes, sir.
But one thing I wanted to ask you, TVD exploded, the receivers, had a great game.
Mm-hmm.
What happened with the running situation for the Hurricanes?
We definitely kind of had to take a step back and take what the defense was giving us. Texas, their O-line and their D-line are huge, even by NFL standards. Those guys average 6'3", 300 pounds, 290 pounds. So it was going to be hard for our speedster type guys to really get going. But we showed a commitment to it. Henry Parrish Jr. had 10 carries for 50 yards. AJ Allen had 5 carries. Donald Chaney Jr. had 3 carries. So there were running attempts made, but the offense was just moving so smoothly with the short passes turning into long gains that it was almost like we were running the ball that way. 5, 6, 7 yard catch turning into 15 yards gain, 20 yards gain. Those are the type of things that helped us move the sticks without running the ball effectively. But yeah, we also shut down their run, right? Their guy had 18 carries for 62 yards. So it was that type of game, right? Like we're gonna throw the ball. That's one thing I can say. We had 2 interceptions towards the end of the game that pretty much shut it down. One of them from damn it, dog, his name escapes me now. Kitchens, the guy who got hurt, who we're gonna talk about now. But they were timely defensive stops. Those are the things that I needed to see from the Hurricanes. Those are the things that the Hurricanes needed to do to beat a team like Texas A&M. This dude who quarterbacks for them, Weigman, he had a great game, 336 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 INTs. But those 2 INTs were amazing plays by the defensive back. Like I said, like I mentioned, Cameron Kitchens, he had an interception. He had a great game, recovered a fumble as well. Definitely had a role to play in that defense. Ended up with 7 total tackles, 3 solos. Before he left the game injured on the cart. I think he had like a neck spasm or some shit. It looked bad. He got carried off the field on a stretcher. But he was released later on from the hospital. All signs pointing to him being okay, being able to resume his normal activity. So we're glad that he's doing well.
Yeah, it was a scary moment for, a star player for the Hurricanes. You definitely don't want to see that. But, it's good to hear that he's doing better.
Yeah. And again, an impressive victory for the Hurricanes. 2-0. Now we're ranked 22.
Yep, they made it. They cracked the top 25. They knocked out
Texas A&M
out of the top 25, and then that's huge, man. Because you got a rival that's top 3 right now, bro. So if you can continue to put together a decent season when we know we got to face these guys, that'll be the deciding factor right there.
In my eyes, you can't even focus on FSU right now, bro, because they're that much better than us. And the reason why I say that is because we still have some tough opponents ahead of us. Georgia Tech is going to be a tough ACC opponent, and so is North Carolina. They're ranked right now. Mm-hmm. Before we play Clemson, even though they lost to Duke, Clemson's always going to be Clemson in the ACC.
They're washed.
Yeah, you can say that all you want, though, but
so
I don't believe
Bama.
Bama's washed.
Tired of Bama.
All right, watch those guys
go
win
Buffs.
But yeah, we got a quick turnaround against Bethune-Cookman.
That should be a dub.
That should be an easy dub. You know what I mean? Maybe play some of the second and third string guys. Get up early, quick in the game, right? Rest everybody, and let some players who didn't get a chance to play on Saturday get a good run in on Thursday. Keep everybody healthy, and then get ready to make a serious run, bro. Because like I said, after that we got Texas Tech. Then we're playing Georgia Tech, and then we're playing North Carolina. So tough matchups. Yep. You wanna go into that North Carolina game undefeated, obviously.
Yep.
But you just want that momentum that we're playing with right now to continue. That's all you want. You want that momentum to keep going. Don't stop.
Yep. Hey, that was nice. I like that. We should add that to the soundboard.
No, if you know.
But one last thing, too, before we jump off college football, just want to shout out my UCF Knights, who pulled out a big victory on the road against Boise State in that horrific blue turf.
It's weird.
18-16. We lost our star quarterback in the process, which sucks. But hey, we're 2-0 right now. So shout out, go Knights, charge on. And I know you don't have anything else on here, but I just wanted to ask you, what'd you think about Israel Adesanya getting dropped by Sean Strickland?
It is actually on there on the honorable mentions, but I didn't put it, I think, on your version.
Oh, there's a second page. Oh, look at that.
Look at that. No, Sean Strickland, man. Yes, absolutely. Great segue.
God, I should have put some money on Strickland, dog. I should have put money on that guy, bro.
That guy's crazy.
Izzy, dog.
He dropped him, but I think that he just pushed the pace of the fight so much that it got to Izzy. You know what I mean? And we've seen Izzy struggle when guys that are bigger than him kind of just, relentlessly go at him and throw punches and be in his face. He doesn't usually have a good game plan for that shit. And he got caught. Dana White kind of said after the fight that maybe he thinks that the quick turnaround on the fight from Alex to this,
I think so,
might have been too much.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too. Because, whenever you're in a battle like that, dog, you're talking about fighting, dog. Yeah, that shit takes a fucking toll on you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, like, you kind of have to keep that in mind. But I think they're going to do an immediate rematch. I think they both were able to sell enough of the pay-per-views that if you were to put them next to as like a co-main event or a main event on another card, it would obviously sell. But I think Izzy should take his time, wait until like the beginning of the new year, right? We're already in September. Give yourself a good solid 4, 5, 6 months. You know what I mean?
Take a break, bro.
Take a break. Nobody's going to miss you. Let this guy, be the champ for a little bit and then come back and see what happens. And see what happens in round 2, man. But Sean Strickland, undefeated in 2023. He's now 3-0, fighting a 3-fight win streak. Damn. As he is crowned the middleweight champion of the UFC.
That's impressive.
Yeah, you know what was impressive?
Big underdog.
Coco Gauff winning her first ever major in the U.S. Open up in New York, man.
Youngest woman to win it? She's a teenager, isn't she?
No, like youngest in a while, in like 20-something years.
Second youngest?
Yeah, second youngest.
Either same age as Serena or a year older. Or
yeah, like right around there. But still impressive to be a teenager and go out there and fucking win that tournament. That's a hard tournament to win because of the pressure that is on, right? Like everybody goes there. It's New York City. It's wild. People are cheering, and it's a hard court, right? Where the ball is much, much faster. You really got to play with a lot of power. There's not enough room for like precision shots or softer shots. But she went out there and dominated then world number 2, who's currently now world number 1. So she went out there, beat world's number 2. The lady who lost ends up being world number 1. That's how good she is, right? And the performance that she put on her way to the finals. But Fort Lauderdale's own, man, Coco Gauff. And she's a Dolphins fan too. So
it was a good weekend for South Florida, dog. The Dolphins win, the Hurricanes won, and you had Coco from Fort Lauderdale
taking it all.
Win her first Grand Slam title.
Yeah. Novak Djokovic, he won his 24th major.
That guy's a beast.
Oh, hum.
That guy's a
right
beast.
Quick. The most by any player of the Open era. Just something slight.
Alcaraz shit the bed.
Mind you, this guy battled Nadal and fucking Roger Federer for pretty much his entire career. Yeah. And he still goes out there and fucking makes history like that. That guy's a GOAT. That guy's nasty. He's nasty. But I think it's time, dog. Tell a friend.
Time to tell a friend?
It's time to tell a friend.
To go subscribe to OnlyFans right now.
Go subscribe right now. And tell somebody else who's not subscribed yet, who's a big-time Dolphins fan, to not only check out OnlyFans, but again, hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification button too. That way you guys know whenever we're dropping those awesome videos, man. Until next time, peace.